So what is up, amigos? Hope you're doing awesome. My name is Maddie and welcome back to my channel. Back in 2022, nobody expected Kantara to explode the way it did. It was just a small Kannada film, but what started as a local release soon became a phenomenon, breaking boundaries across India and beyond. And it did that not because of scale or stars, but because of its authenticity, its folklore, and that unforgettable climax. The film didn't need big marketing campaigns or flashy promotions. It relied on word of mouth, and within days, theaters across Karnataka were packed. Soon after, the rest of the country joined in, with audiences who didn't even speak the language rushing to watch it with subtitles or the dubbed versions. That's when you know a film has become more than just entertainment. It has turned into an experience. Now, the magic of Kantara was that it surprised you. It didn't reveal its cards too early. The story felt grounded, the characters felt real, and the atmosphere kept you uneasy, always guessing where it was heading. The film respected silence. It knew the power of jump scares, the sudden scares, and it built up curiosity one scene at a time. And when the final act arrived, it hit like a thunder. A divine rush of sound, visuals, and performance that gave people goosebumps like very few films ever do. At the heart of it was Rishab Shetty. Now, until then, he was a known face in Kannada cinema, but Kantara transformed him into a national name. Overnight, he became celebrated as both an actor and a filmmaker who could mix folklore, faith, and mainstream storytelling in a way that felt raw and universal. The respect and fame he earned after that were completely deserved. So naturally, when Kantara Chapter 1, the prequel, was announced, the excitement was beyond normal. People didn't just want another film, they wanted another magical experience. Audiences were waiting to see how the prequel would dive deeper into the myths, explore the roots of the story, and maybe even give us another unforgettable climax. Expectations were sky high, the pressure on Rishabh was enormous. So the question now is, does this prequel manage to bring back that same soul-stirring magic, or has the weight of scale and spectacle shifted the balance away from what made the first film so special? So here's a quick spoiler-free plot. Set during the Kadamba dynasty around 300 CE, Kantara Chapter 1 tells the story of Berme, played by Rishab Shetty, a tribal warrior who dreams of leading his people into a stronger, more modern future while still bound to the sacred land of Kantara. For his tribe, the forest is not just home, but a sacred ground, protected by Panjurli and Guliga Daiva, gods they believe to be the Ganas of Ishwara, divine beings sent to earth whenever adharma rises. Now, Berme's journey puts him at odds with Kulashekara, played by Gulshan Devaya, King Vijayendra, played by Jayaram, whose authority challenges the tribe's freedom, and with Princess Kanakavati, played by Rukmini Vasanth, whose role brings emotional weight to the story. The tensions reach a breaking point when Berme's tribe is ambushed inside the sacred forest of Kantara. His world is shattered, and he's forced into a spiritual awakening that binds him closer to the Daiva. So what follows next? How Berme rises to protect his people, reconnects with faith, and stands against the rulers under the Kadamba dynasty forms the rest of the film and its central premise. So let's get to the point of what worked for me and what didn't. Let's start with what worked for me. To be fair, there is a lot to admire in Kantara Chapter 1. First of all, the scale of the film. This is a medieval tale, and you feel the grandeur right from the very first frame. The production design is rich, the visuals are immersive, shot in real locations, and the cinematography gives us several breathtaking shots that capture that era with ambition. Clearly, there was an attempt to build something larger and more expensive than the first film, and on that front, it succeeds. Then there are the performances. Rishab Shetty once again proves why he is such a powerful presence on screen. He balances intensity and calmness and manages to carry the weight of the film. Jayaram, in a full-fledged role, delivers exceptionally, as always, bringing the maturity and gravitas that only an actor of his experience can. What's surprising is how his role was kept so understated in the film's promotions and teasers, trailers, when in reality he has a strong presence throughout. Now, Rukmini Vasanth is another highlight and standout. Not a surprise because anyone who has followed her work knows her potential, but still a standout here, adding that depth and dignity to the story. The film also uses comedy in the local coastal Karnataka Kannada dialect, which worked beautifully inside the theater, getting plenty of genuine laughs. But this humor feels very rooted in the language and its delivery. I doubt it will land the same way in dubbed versions. Within this, Rakesh Pujari, who sadly passed away after completing the film, deserves special mention. His screen presence and comic timing were pitch perfect, adding relief in tense moments. Pramod Shetty, Prakash Tuminad, and the usual Shetty collective of supporting actors also shine, each bringing authenticity and charm to their roles. Together, they make the world feel lived in and believable. The cinematography by Arvind Kashyap is another clear winner. There are shots of rituals, forest, and battle-like sequences that are so well captured you can sense the filmmaker's ambition to create an epic canvas. These technical elements keep the film engaging at several points. Now let's get to the parts which didn't work for me, because alongside the strengths, there are also aspects that don't work, and sadly, they hold the film back. The most important issue here is the storytelling itself. Unlike the first Kantara, which thrived on mystery, unpredictability, and gradual build-up, this film feels more straightforward. Rishab is shown as a larger-than-life hero, almost like a Prabhas in Bahubali or NTR Jr. in RRR. In that tribal setup, he is portrayed as someone who can swing through forests, fight with ease, and carry himself with an aura of invincibility. While Rishab plays it brilliantly, this choice takes away the suspense and vulnerability that made the first film's protagonist so fascinating. The pacing also becomes a problem. Several scenes drag on far longer than they need to, killing the sense of urgency. Even the interval block, which should have been the film's big talking point, surprisingly feels flat and low-key. Instead of pulling you deeper into the film, it leaves you underwhelmed. I would have really loved to tell you about those scenes, but I can't, because otherwise it'll be spoilers, and I don't want to give spoilers in this review. Even the action choreography too feels just about decent and not mind-blowing. And then comes the final act. In the first film, the climax was a revelation, shocking, divine, and unforgettable. Here the climax feels too familiar, echoing the same beats as the original. There is a subtle difference in how it plays out, but by the time you notice it, the film has already ended. The goosebumps that the audience craved don't quite arrive, and that is perhaps the biggest disappointment here. The themes and messaging also feels less powerful this time. In the Kantara 1, the story connected locals and authority figures in a way that delivered a profound reminder about protecting land, roots, and culture. It was about the bond between people and nature, and the price we pay when that balance is disturbed. In Chapter 1, however, the tribal leader is shown chasing modernization, sometimes even greedily, at the cost of his own community's traditions and values. Although the film ends with a realization that progress cannot come at the expense of one's roots and natural harmony, the weight of that message feels diluted. It does not strike with the same emotional force as the first film's commentary. And then there's the music and background score. I was really rooting for Rajneesh. Unlike the first film, where sound design and rhythms became almost spiritual, here the score often feels only decent. In several important moments, it lacks punch and fails to heighten the emotion on screen. It supports the film, okay, but doesn't elevate it, and that leaves a noticeable gap. So where does Kantara Chapter 1 stand according to me? It has ambition, it has performances worth celebrating, and it certainly has visual grandeur. But scale alone cannot replace soul. Dazzle alone cannot give you divinity. For me, the film felt like an ambitious experiment that leaned heavily on spectacle but lost some of the raw spiritual magic that made the first film unforgettable. Audiences will likely be divided on this one. Some will celebrate the heroism, the medieval setting, and the larger-than-life canvas. Others, like me, will feel that the intimacy, the unpredictability, and the soul of the first film are missing here. In the end, it proves a simple point for me. Bigger is not always better. Kantara Chapter 1, despite its ambition, doesn't quite reach that same high. It reminds us again that cinema is not just about how grand it looks, but about how deeply it makes us feel. And when that feeling is missing, even the grandest spectacle can leave you wanting more. That's it from me today. Thank you for watching. Do hit the like button if you liked this honest review, and please subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Thank you for watching us today. You take care, stay awesome, and bye-bye.